Hi friends, Tracy.bish here, Stampin Up demonstrator in Australia. Welcome to my channel. I'm excited to be sharing with you some of my swaps for Stampin Up's OnStage in Sydney this year. It is now on in March and I'm actually away at the moment enjoying OnStage. But I really wanted to share with you some of the swaps that I was creating for the event. This is my general 3D swap. I can talk, I promise. And this is a little treat box idea, which is so cool. Let's open it up. I'll go through all the products with you just before we start crafting, but it opens up to the side and we've got Hello Friend with a little wagon wheel, a little mini wagon wheel in there. So sweet, such a lovely little treat idea, and I hope that everyone that I swap with over OnStage in Sydney really loves their little treat idea. Okay, so we are using some new products, or fairly new products, from the mini catalogue. Let me share with you those. We have the Sweet Bugs bundle. Now this is part of the Cute as a Bug suite, which is absolutely amazing. I love this suite. So cute. Look at all these little bugs and critters and ladybugs and slugs, ants, and there's some really great dies there as well. These toadstools are amazing. So that's the stamp set bundle that we're using. We're also using stamping blends in Bubble Bath and Old Olive, as well as our inks in Bubble Bath and Old Olive. I've got some scrap paper to do some punching. So I've got basic white, Old Olive and Bubble Bath, and my kit that's ready to go, here it is here, is also in Bubble Bath, and we've got some little piece of DSP. Now this is actually not from that suite or that selection of products. I've pulled this in from the beautiful Made with Love DSP, which is another suite in that catalogue. Great Valentine's themed pages, but I really liked how nicely this Bubble Bath DSP, I really wanted to try using Bubble Bath, and this is Bubble Bath, and it's part of this DSP rather than the bug one. Okay, so that's our kit. We are going to create a few more things. I've got the 2-inch punch, the 1 7/8 inch punch, and the 1 3/4 inch punch. We're using the Bubble Bath faux linen ribbon. This is so tiny and absolutely beautiful, and I think this, you know, closes up our little box perfectly. And I have done a little bit of die cutting from that bundle. So I've already pre-die cut my Old Olive stem and my basic white thick flower, which will go together, just to save a little bit of time with that. But as you can see, here is the stem here and this is the flower. Cute little dies in this one. We've got little flowers and fruits, dragonflies, snails and butterflies, you name it, it's all in here. Really gorgeous set. Okay, to create our little box to start with, we have a piece of Bubble Bath cardstock. Now this one measures 7 inches by 2 3/4, and we're going to do a little bit of scoring. Okay, so on the 7-inch side we're going to score at 1.5 inches, or 3.8 centimeters, 2 inches, and that's 5.1 centimeters, 4 3/4, that looks 12.1 centimeters, and 5 1/4, which is going to be 13.3 centimeters. So that is our little box ready to go. We've also got the insert piece that holds our little wagon wheel down. This measures 1/2 inch by 4 3/4. I'll try and write all the measurements, including the metric, in the comments section or in the description of the video or over my blog, one of those. Anyway, it's 1/2 inch by 4 3/4, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch. I really should write down the metric before hitting that record button. 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 3 3/4, and 4 1/4. So pretty much a 1/2 inch and 1 inch on each end of these pieces. And that is all our scoring, completely ready to go. Let's bring a bone folder in, and we're just going to burnish all those score lines. So this doesn't use a lot of supplies. You could certainly probably get away with using a lot of scraps if you have a lot of scraps in your scrap bin. So use a coordinating colour with your DSP and get some of those scraps used. Alright, so we have this here ready to go. One thing to note is one side is actually a little bit less of a measurement than this side, so the larger piece is actually going on the right hand side. That gives us that little fold over and just holds the box together a little bit better. Okay, so before we do any of putting the inside piece in, I'm going to add my DSP to the front. Now again, made with love DSP, this measures, I don't have it written down, 1 1/4 by 2 1/2 inches. And we're going to add that little bit of a decoration to the front. Okay, then we can bring in our closure piece that's going to hold in our wagon wheel, and just on each of the end tabs I'm going to add some tear and tape. I have tear and tape somewhere. Grabbed it out of a kit. There's not a lot left on here though. Okay, so let's add a little bit of tear and tape to the end tab here. Yeah, that's the end of that. Okay. If you've got any overhanging tear and tape, once you take your backing off, just fold it back over into that area and that'll be fine. Okay, so we want to adhere that first score line down in the middle of our box here. Like so. And we're going to do the same on the other side. So if we just fold this down on the score lines, make sure this is even, pushing that first tab down, and then we'll have it nicely popped in place. As you can see, that's a nice little tab area in the middle. And we're going to add a wagon wheel. Now I actually grabbed these from the supermarket. You get 8 snack packs in the pack, and they're all individually wrapped, which is fantastic. And we're just going to fold over slightly on either side, and that creates our little gift idea. Let's move this to the side. We're going to bring in our sentiment piece here, which is the bubble bath ink, and I'm also going to bring in that scrap bits of cardstock, and we're going to do a punch with each of those. So we have the 1 3/4 inch is our first punch that I picked up. I'm going to punch a bubble bath cardstock out of that one. So the 1 3/4 bubble bath. Then we have the 1 7/8. This is our basic white, and I'm actually using thick basic white. So we have that one. And then the 2 inch we are going to cut or punch from the old olive cardstock. There we go. So we have those all ready to go. Now we are going to, let's bring this one in. We're going to do a little bit of stamping, so we want the Spread Joy, and I should have left this undone. We're also going to stamp the inside that you see once you open it up, the Hello Friend. Oops, out of camera view. The Hello Friend. So we need this one, and we need this one, and I'm going to stamp Old Olive with our sentiment, so that's the front one, Spread Joy. And just in the middle there, like so. And then with our basic white circle here, I'm going to swap colours. So we'll get rid of that Old Olive, bring Bubble Bath in. And we'll stamp the Hello Friend. Fits perfectly in there. And then in the stamp set there is this little flower and grass, so I'm going to stamp that also just underneath, and that looks cute, but we're going to make it even cuter with our stamping blends. Now I'm going to actually use my light in both of those. I've got the bundles here, the light and dark, but I'm just going to use my light to colour in the flower. Like so. And then for our green grass and the leaf, we're going to use the light Old Olive. So cute. That looks really nice, doesn't it? But if we bring it in the dark Bubble Bath, I'm just going to add a nice little center on that flower. And honestly, how much better does that look? That is so cute. Okay. Now we can add this to the center of the closure piece. And I'm actually going to add 2 dimensionals. I could probably have gotten away with 1, but I'm going to make sure that there's 2 in there. Pop that down in the center. There we have that. And we're going to grab some of our ribbon now. And I just took 10 inches of this beautiful Bubble Bath ribbon. 10 inches was more than enough. So we're only tying a knot around it. You might need a little bit more if you wanted to create a bow. But honestly, I think a knot that's not super done up hard is super cute, but it's also able to undo it and tie it back up again. So have our little closure ready to go. I'm going to close this back up so we can see the front of the box, because they're going to work on the front now. We're almost done. Such a quick little idea. Now these would make really great ideas as little birthday thank yous, thank yous just in general. You could certainly change that up and it would look so cool. Alright, so I have our 2 die cut pieces. I'm just going to adhere down with some liquid glue to get that flower down in place. Like that. And then we can layer our 2 circles. So the Bubble Bath and Old Olive piece, we're going to layer those 2 together. And then we're going to adhere our little flower die cut down onto our circles there. So it's sort of going to pop off the top and bottom of the die cut. So you just want to make sure that you're not adding liquid glue to your ends, and that just helps. Okay, we have that. We're going to add this circle down the left hand piece of our closure of the box with some dimensionals. We can pop him down there. So cute. Alright, and the Spread Joy were also this, I haven't actually tied this up tight enough. That's why these circles look so much smaller than these. It's not, it's just that my box needs to be a little bit tighter than I popped it in. Just making that a little bit tighter. There we go. That looks so much better, doesn't it? Okay, let's add some dimensionals down onto our circle. I'm just going to pop two sort of in the middle there. Pop that down over the top. And then to finish it off, it needs a little bit of bling. And because I made 50 of these, I decided to use my basic rhinestones just to make it easy on myself. There is a lot of basic rhinestones in one pack, which just makes it a little bit cost effective and easier to create a whole heap. And I'm just going to pop 3 down on the little box. Now, isn't that just the sweetest little gift idea? And who wouldn't want a wagon wheel? One of my favorite chocolates. Absolutely gorgeous. Little bit of jam, little bit of marshmallow, some biscuit and chocolate. Yum. All right. Thank you so much for spending a bit of time with me today. I hope that you've enjoyed today's 3D swap for OnStage in Sydney. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. I would love it if you did that. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of my little project today. And if you haven't hit subscribe, please do that as well. I would love it if you joined my community here on YouTube. And if you live in Australia and you're not already working with a demonstrator and you would like to order some of the products that either I've used here or some other crafty products, you can do so in my online store. There is a link in the description of this video, so you can go over there and place your order. I have a great system in place for all my customers who purchase with me each month, so you'll get some great little rewards and free gifts from me for shopping with me. All right, everyone, have an amazing day, and I'll be back with another swap to share with you. All right, bye.